Afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm streaming a little bit later than I normally would, which is fine. And I have about an hour to stream today. So we are going to expedite this a little bit, and I'll explain how I'm going to do that. Right now, I'm setting up my recordings. I'm going to fill everything in really quickly. Hope everyone is doing well today. My wife is out of town, and I'm having to do, well, I tried to clean up the house a little bit today. Thought that'd be a nice thing to do. Sucks. 71, 75. Carbon, page 156, number 6. 104, and delete track. Arvin, page 166, number 47. Okay, so to expedite this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play less of everything. So for long tones, I'm still going to do my long tones. I'm just not going to go as high up into the upper register. I might even skip first attacks, or maybe I'll just do half. I'm not totally sure. We'll see how I feel when I get there. I'm going to, the violin will be normal because that's pretty quick. The Clark is pretty normal because that'll be pretty quick. And then I'm going to play one repetition of the saxa, and then I'll play the multiple tonguing, and then we'll see where we're at. So as always, the first thing I'll do is I'll do my Chickowitz flow studies. I do the Chickowitz flow studies first every single day as a way to get a sense of how things are feeling. So while my routine changes from day to day, I generally like to have at least some part at the very beginning be consistent from day to day. So that's the mouthpiece buzzing that I do, and then the Chickowitz flow studies. The flow studies, I'm aiming for a great first attack, a great, beautiful, full resonant sound that follows, and then keeping that sound as I try to connect the notes beautifully, and then just stretching into stretching into registers that are, higher and higher, not trying to play too loud, just trying to get a sense of where I'm at for the day. feels pretty good. I'll go up to the high C now. Okay, that's all I'm going to do for that. I feel pretty good, so I'm going to move on to long tones. For long tones, we have to play at 99 beats per minute. So I'm actually going to set this metronome at 99. The reason, or rather my purpose for doing long tones, is to improve my understanding of the intonation tendencies of this instrument for this month. So I'm going to pull out the tuner, and it's set at 440. You should be able to see that. So we'll hit go. All right, you should be able to hear that. I'm going to put it back on the big one so you can see. So again, I got a new instrument here, and so I'm using these long tones to test my ability to play in the center of the pitch at 440. And if I'm not in the center, I'm trying to check out where does my tendency lie. Am I flat or am I sharp? I'm trying to then correct that and then listen to the sound on the notes that I wasn't in the center on to hear, I guess, what I want it to sound like. So I'm going to try to create that sound, and I just need to, train my ear what to listen for. So a little sharp. So you can hear on that, it's pretty good. I was missing a few of the initial notes. It just kind of feels weird, but it doesn't get me that far off track. I know what I need to do, and so this is what I would call a pretty average run of this. It's not terrible, obviously. I'm not trying to say that, but it certainly doesn't feel like everything is just dialed in and locked in. So I just need to keep trying. You know, on days like this, I double down on, well, what do I know that has made me successful, which is keeping the air forward, committing to the sound I want to create. And so I just need to keep going with that and hope that it at least stays where it's at, if not gets a little bit better. And when I do these exercises for long tones and the first attacks that I'm about to do, right now I'm just focusing on doing just like a nice healthy mezzo forte dynamic. You can use long tones, and these arpeggio timing drills that I'm about to do. You can use them in loud and in soft to kind of test and push and learn about dynamic range, but that's not my goal right now, so I'm not worried about doing that. So 67. All right, back to this metronome here. So I'm going to do F sharp, A, and C. For those of you just joining, I'm on a bit of a shortened practice schedule today. I got to leave around 4 or 4:10 to go somewhere. So I have about 25 minutes from now to practice. And so I'm doing just an abbreviated version of pretty much everything. Okay. It's not bad. All right, so we move on to violin here, 66 beats per minute. With violin, my goal is to keep everything as obviously as connected as possible, but I'm really trying to play from the center of one note to the center of another note, and I'm trying to make sure my air is completely consistent. So if my air is consistent, there will be no gaps, and if I'm blowing from the center of one note to the next, everything will be in tune, and I'll be aiming in the right place, and then it's just a matter of getting used to how does that feel and how do I get better at doing that. Guess you could see the music if you want. I don't really have time to listen to this, but I'm going to go back and listen to it. I mean, I wasn't super happy with that. The pitch seems good, though. Yeah, and there we're not worried about the intonation because we're playing everything with 1, 2, and 3. So with an exercise like Violin, the goal is to develop the skill of flexibility, again, being playing the center of one note to the center of another note and keeping the air consistent. So when I'm playing a violin exercise and I miss a note like I did in that previous example, I'm trying to assess, do I need to do that again, or do I understand what happened and do I made a mistake? If I understand how to do it, which I think the whole aggregate of the whole exercise demonstrates that I do understand it, then I usually move on. What I just did, I feel like I could actually stand to do it again, but because I'm low on time, I'm not going to do that. But that's one of the ways that I think about, should I do something again or should I not, is if I understand what I did and I just made a mistake, I'm just going to try the next time around to do the thing I know how to do, and maybe I won't make a mistake. Next time around being in 2 days. If I don't know what's going on, I'm going to have to take a step back and I'm going to have to assess, like, how am I going to actually get better and, build some more repetitions into it. All right. Record. Nope. Record. Page 29, number 30. I gotta turn on a fan and hold on. It's insanely hot in here. Summertime in Alabama is a killer. So, okay. We continue. All right. That one's hard for me. Clark 4. If anybody has any questions, feel free to throw them out there. Makes it a little bit more interesting for me. Hey, how's it going? Better late than never. It's nice to have you here. Have you had any chance to work with some of that low register stuff we talked about? And if so, is it working? And if it's not working, what are your thoughts? Yeah, that's good. I mean, that's pretty normal that you're sort of working it out. You're teaching your chops. This is actually what I want you to do, and then you're just hoping that you get there sooner and sooner with each practice session. Yeah, I love that Snedecore Low Etude book. I'm not playing out of it this month because I was trying out this month and last month. I was trying a slightly different approach to the structure, but basically a year and a half before that, the Snedecore Low Etude drills, the very first page was in my routine every single month. what is the one that's on the way, and what is the one that you want when you have the dollar sign to buy it? I'm curious. Wow. Alrighty then. All right, get ready for this. This is going to be exciting. This is the fast repetition of this week, the number 5. Except we're on odds, aren't we? Oh, that's not bad. I mean, it's quite good, actually. Yeah, this is the New York Yamaha with the YM bell. I like it. Just don't care about the mistakes at all. I'm not worried about it. It's not really indicative of my ability to play smoothly or cleanly. It's just a brain fart. All right, we'll try one more, and then we'll probably stop. Yeah. Okay. As if that weren't a high enough high notes to test. We have Saxa 41 now. Hey, Justin. What do I suggest when constructing a fundamental practice session? Focus only on weaknesses or a little bit of everything. Here's the best advice I can give you. And this is at least how I approach it. For me, I have two sort of separate approaches or ways I think about fundamental practice sessions. For this, the stuff I'm doing, the stuff that I have on this app, you know, this Gold Method app here, for the stuff that's on the Gold Method app, it's all weakness-based, or it's skills that I want to challenge in some way and improve. So it's kind of both, right? It's a little bit of everything, but it's not absolutely everything. Because I'm sort of a believer that you can't do everything. or you just run out of time, or you'd run out of face. So I have 6 skill categories that I choose from, and then I kind of get a little bit more nuanced with the exercises I choose. So when I choose articulation, I might choose one exercise that has staccato and one exercise that has legato or something like that, right? So you can practice different facets of the skill category of articulation. Anything that doesn't make it into my fundamental routine or my fundamental program, either I just say, all right, there's going to be 1 month of not doing this and I can always add it back in on the next month, or I'll just add a little bit of that kind of thing into my warm-up so that I cover it, but I'm not really spending a ton of time trying to dive down deep and all that kind of stuff. Does that make sense? All right, up a fourth. Okay, we finish up. So that was not perfect, but my chops feel actually pretty terrible right now for whatever reason. Not quite sure why, but I'm just going to keep trying to get in the best work that I can. So on a day where my chops feel terrible, I don't feel, sorry, just want to be able to see you. So I don't feel right now that I'm in danger of being injured, but my chops don't feel great. I don't feel like I'm really nailing everything. So this is the delineation. If I felt like I was feeling pain right here, or if I really felt like it was just a terrible idea to keep going, I would stop practicing. But because not everything like most of the stuff I have left is not very high impact, I'm going to just keep going, and I'm going to do my best to play with the healthy habits I can play with. And hopefully we can finish the session out fairly strong, and then we'll just count this as a tough session, right? Sometimes those happen. Sometimes we have good sessions. But a lot of people ask, should I keep going if I'm injured? A lot of people ask, should I keep going if things hurt, or if I feel like I'm going to injure myself? Well, if you feel like you're going to injure yourself, absolutely, you should stop. But it hurting is a very subjective feeling. And so right now my chops, like I said, they don't feel great, but I don't feel like I'm in any danger. Hopefully that distinction makes sense, because I know a lot of people can struggle with that. So that's my take and what I'm planning on doing moving forward in this particular practice session. And you can hear that I'm not like nailing everything, and some of my articulations are, not necessarily killing it, and then, so as an example of what I was talking about with challenging myself, that etude, I feel my articulation is very solid, but that etude is challenging for me to manage these slur 2, tongue 1 patterns. And then sometimes it's tongue all 3, and sometimes it's a little bit different. And so it can be difficult to manage all of these differences and then play it with coordination and with ease. And that's the challenge for me on that particular exercise. So you can see I'm programmed here to play Saxa 71 2 times, but we're only going to do it once because we're running low on time. Here is the music. I'll move it down later. That should be on a t-shirt. Ouchie is totally different than yuck. That's not what we want. That's very true. Ouchie is different than yuck. Right now I feel yuck. Although that was better than I expected it to be. So there's that. Hey Justin, I just want to make sure that the answer or the comment I had given for your question, that it made sense. If you're still around, let me know. I'm trying my best to give accurate and useful information, but sometimes it can be hard to answer these questions that are sort of broad without knowing anything about you. Yeah, I do subscribe to that. I try to think about my air on good and bad days, and I have a reason why, but yes, I do prescribe to that. philosophy or that idea. All right, 78. For sure, no matter what I'm doing, I'm definitely not trying to think about my chops. I mean, there's a certain way that I try to release sound that is around the chops, but I'm definitely not thinking of like, how are my chops feeling? And I just don't think that dictates anything. And also, part of the problem is like in my job, I don't get to be like, well, I feel bad, so oh well. Like I have to figure out how to continue moving forward even when it doesn't feel great. And air is the way, as you've described, that's the way that I've found to do it. Okay, we made it. So that is a much abbreviated 50-minute practice session. So often these streams will go, if I have more questions, they'll go longer too. But often these streams will go, 2 hours, hour and a half, 2 hours. So we've shortened this by a third or by half, just by not going as high in the range on my long tones, playing fewer first attack drills, not repeating any of the saxa etudes, and not repeating any of the of these multiple tonguing exercises. So the app, I think, is really nice for managing workload as well in that way. So on days that I have all the time in the world and I feel great, I can play everything. But it's really easy to figure out, well, where can I take stuff away if I want to get some of my work in on my routine, but I don't have as much time as I would like or as I need to get through the whole thing. It's another reason I like the app. So, yeah, I mean, right now I just feel I feel like I'm inputting exactly the same thing that I always input into the trumpet, and it's just not working the same way. Like, well, we're talking percentage points of difference, right? I would say if my normal is 98%, I feel like I'm operating at like 94 or 93. Like the way I feel isn't necessarily derailing anything. It's just not. It just takes a little bit more focus and sort of effort to keep things balanced, just like you described. Yeah. We have some viewers here. If anybody has, I can stick around for another 5 or so minutes. If anybody has any questions that they wanted to ask or they didn't have a chance to ask, I'm happy to answer any of those questions. As much as it sucks for me to like sound like this on stream, I hope it's helpful to hear that, like, even people who do this professionally or even people with jobs, like everybody has bad days. Everybody. Oh, good. It's actually pretty cool that you and it sounds like some other people I've talked to have gotten some stuff out of it, because I've wanted to connect over these ideas for a long time. I've had some interesting ideas about practice. I've read a lot of books. I've experimented a lot. So it's fun for me to just kind of get on here and talk, and I got to practice anyway. So it's really cool for me to be able to connect with some people who find these ideas interesting. But yeah. About the bad days thing. Yeah, we all have bad days. It's just, and ideally what we're looking for, I mean, if I'm trying to, draw something that I really think about this, right, you were saying you had a big studio. So, yeah, hopefully, and like, I've learned that like being able to explain, like this is helping me also work through the language of how I share. which I think is so important in teaching and in communication, obviously, is not just that I do it and not that I can kind of explain it, but that I have a great... I saw this quote from Albert Einstein that said, if you can't explain it to a 6-year-old, you don't understand it. And I don't think it's quite that extreme, but I agree with that kind of philosophy, that being able to take all of the complexity and put it in a sort of a format that people can understand. I'm really working towards that. So this is good for me to kind of refine that language as well. But yeah, what we're trying to do with good days and bad days, like you'll hear people talk about, let's say, well, I have this good day and then my bad day is down here, right? So if it's on opposite sides of the screen, we have good days and we have bad days. So a lot of people are just trying to spend all of their time up here. And I think what I have tried to do, especially through this use of the gold method up, is to bring this from here up to there. You know, so like instead of it being like I'm just trying to stay here as much as possible at the highest, I'm actually spending time making sure that this lower mark goes further and further up. So my bad days, it feels the same, but it's not a significant drop in quality. And I think that just comes from continuing to instill and imprint healthy habits as much as possible, even when it doesn't feel good. And we have to understand what those habits are first before we can implement them. So it's another thing I'm always trying to say, like through what I'm doing with these live streams, when I'm doing flexibility or articulation, I'm trying to say, these are the things I'm inputting. These are the habits I'm trying to input that I think are healthy. So I'm going to be teaching at UNA this fall. Dr. Gray asked me if I could help him out a little bit. So it's going to be exciting for me, I think, to have this opportunity to work with college kids and actually hear back from them what kinds of things they struggle with, what makes sense, what lands, what doesn't. So I can even begin to refine some of this language and maybe make it even more specific for students that are younger. Because I think these ideas can benefit anyone and everyone. But, you know, some of it might be more specific to me because it's my method. And so I'm excited to see if I can learn how to, you know, tailor it for other people and other needs. So I appreciate you hanging out. Della was awesome. Yeah, Della, we talked about... there was really nothing to talk... I mean... everybody's got things to work on the trumpet, but Della played so well that there was really nothing that I wanted to mess with trumpet-wise or really music-wise. We talked about a few different things in terms of, you know, filling out the sound just a little bit, but there was such a great approach that I felt what I wanted to try to provide and sort of challenge her with was, how are you going to make sure you play that way at NTC? So we talked a lot about trying to get your mind right and what kinds of cues you would think about to be able to come back. So practicing is not just I'm going through the motions of trying to get better, but I'm also honing my mental space to think the same thing every single time, so I have something to fall back on when I maybe get stressed. Della was great, and then I got to get some feedback from her, and she said some of those tips were helpful. So yeah, I'm looking forward to being able to work with her. So, yeah, it's a cool connection for sure. That's so cool. That's so cool. I didn't get to hear a recording or anything, but I'm sure she killed it. And she seems so, not shy, but maybe reserved, right? So, like, her personality seemed to be, she's just kind of chilling. Yeah, she's just kind of chilling here. And then when she came out and played, I was like, oh, wow. Like, you know, sometimes you expect people's personalities when they're chill to be kind of a reserved player, but she just played on out. It was awesome. Humble is a great word for it. I mean, I don't know her super well, but I could totally see that. She kind of just carries that kind of attitude for sure. Yeah, I'm looking forward to, because I think she was a junior last year, right? So hopefully I'll get a chance to work with her a little bit more in person. One of these days, I have, sophomore. So yeah, I'll have some time. I'll on one of these upcoming streams, Houghton Horns, the sponsor for my podcast, sent me 2 rotary trumpets, and so on one of these upcoming streams, I'm gonna probably work through the routine a little bit on those rotaries to get used to it. Please, yeah, that would be great. I'd love to come up and hang a little bit and meet and do whatever I can and learn from you. And because, I mean, with such a big studio, I would love to sort of do some of my teaching and my stuff and then have you sort of fill in the gaps of what you've found that works, because I'm just trying to move forward with the assumption that I really don't know anything. And I'm just, just trying to share what I think is valuable. So that would be great. Absolutely. I should probably bounce. I got to meet somebody at 4:30. I should be back tomorrow, and I'm not sure what time yet. Probably in the afternoon again, so maybe I'll catch you again.